The meeting of the Marquette City Commission is called to order on Monday, January 29th of 2024 at 6 p.m. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. City Clerk, may I have a roll call?
Commissioner Larson.
Here.
Commissioner Mayer.
Here.
Commissioner Ottaway.
Here.
Commissioner Schlegel.
Here.
Commissioner Smith.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Hanley.
Here.
And Mayor Davis.
Here. Commissioners, I have an agenda in front of us, and I'm looking for a motion for approval. Commissioner Smith.
I move that we approve the agenda as presented.
Commissioner Schlegel.
I second that.
Any discussion? Okay. All in favor, say yes.
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 Motion passes 7-0. Announcements. I have a word for everyone. It's the demi-semi-sepcentennial. Got that? The demi-semi-sepcentennial, and that means that there's 175 years of Marquette. So we have our 175th anniversary this year. We were originally inhabited by the Anishinaabe Council of Three Fires, and the village of Marquette began on September 14th, 1849. At that time, it was called New Worcester. That's what, in case you have a trivia question coming up. A year later, in 1850, it was named to honor Jacques Marquette. So look for some activities that are going to be happening this summer to celebrate our 175th anniversary. Also, our second meeting in February will be timed a little differently due to the presidential primary and President's Day. Our meeting dates will be Monday, February 12th and Tuesday, February 20th. You thought I was going to catch that, huh? Okay, and that's all I have for announcements. Let's move on to boards and committees. We have some appointments and some reappointments. Commissioner Larson.
I move that we appoint Kevin Clegg to the Board of Zoning Appeals as the Planning Commission representative for a term ending 2/15/25, and that we reappoint Callie New to the Marquette Brownfield Redevelopment Authority for a term ending 2/1/27, James Rankin to the Marquette Brownfield Redevelopment Authority for a term ending 2/1/27, Jamie Glenn to Parks and Recreation Advisory Board for a term ending 1/29/27, and George Patrick to the Board of Zoning Appeals for a term ending 2/15/27.
Thank you for that very long motion. May I have a second? Anyone? What? Oh, Commissioner Schlegel.
I will second that motion, that very long motion.
Any comments?
Just, thanks to everybody for serving.
Second.
Anyone else? All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. And before public comments, I just want to say I'm looking out in the audience, and it's really nice to see all of you. So let's move on to public comments. Comments may not exceed 3 minutes per person. Please state your name and physical address when making public comments.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Commissioners. It's been a while since we spoke about Black Rock Crossing. I thought I'd give you a quick update. Craig Patterson, Senior Vice President. I live in Mackinac City. Okay. We have received approval with the Planning Commission for our site plan. It was approved on January 16th. We did move to one building, I thought you should know, from two buildings. You may have seen the Planning Commission meeting. We still have 50 units. Our partner, the Keweenaw Bay Community Indian Tribe, has approved the site plan before we actually took it in. One thing right now, what we're doing is we've gone through the environmental. The site is totally clear. We've had an archaeological study on the property. There are no artifacts that are of concern. We have submitted some documents to the city staff for review, and they are deep into the due diligence, and we appreciate their effort. We will be providing some extra endorsements from our third-party environmental group, which is overseeing all the environmental work if the city attorney and city staff needs that. We are very pleased with the progress. As you remember, this is about a $14 million investment on West Ridge. You gave us a pilot. We appreciate that. The one thing I didn't bring up to you was the fact that we were getting vouchers because we didn't know we were going to receive the vouchers. And it's the vouchers that have triggered this extra due diligence and the requirements on these documents. Without the vouchers, we could have never been funded. So with that, it's good to see you all, and thank you very much.
Anyone else for public comment?
Margaret Brum, 404 East Magnetic Street. I'm speaking with regards to the agenda item on new business, item 6, enterprise vehicle lease agreement. Last Friday, I had the privilege of attending a local climate change group 2049 for the area of Marquette. And we were all encouraged to talk about the things that we were most concerned about going forward. And one of them was vehicles and how we transported ourselves. And we were encouraged to have that as part of a goal for all of our work, that we would be transitioning to different types of vehicles. I read the enterprise agreement. It's a pretty standard agreement written by Enterprise. And I couldn't find any record in there of either a request that a certain number of vehicles were non-gas powered or a requirement. And I'm not saying that there should be, I'm just saying that there's an opportunity here if the city decides to embrace the climate change 2049, there's an opportunity here for you to ask Enterprise what they can do. Because I don't honestly know if Enterprise or other rental companies rent electric cars now. I don't know if they do. But I do know we haven't yet encountered this during my meetings at the BLP, because most of our vehicles simply aren't electric yet. But the city does. So this is an opportunity, and I have no clear-cut recommendation except to ask you to consider it, considering the 2049, we're supposed to look at everything in the room. And I won't say that they walked the talk, but as fast as we ate, they took the plates away, and they were scraping it into a compost bin in the room while we were still there, and then pouring the extra drinks in there as well. They weren't messing around with wasting 1 ounce of good food. So that's just all. It's just a thought. If it could be done, I don't know if it could be done, but it might be nice if it was asked for. Thank you very much.
Anyone else for public comment? Anyone else for public comment? Okay, seeing none, public comment is now closed. And we will move on to presentations. We have 2 very important presentations today. I'm going to turn it over to our city manager, Karen Kovacs.
Thank you. I'm going to keep, I think, mine a little bit higher level and a little bit shorter and maybe a little bit more casual before we move into Police Chief Ryan Grimm's presentation. I wanted to take this moment to really update the commission, but then also our community, and highlight some extraordinary behaviors and actions that were taken on by our city staff in a very rather, I'd say, concerning or scary moment on Monday last week, when we had a police incident here with a resident that just needed a little bit more attention here. So I think that first I wanted to highlight our IT department, who it was actually had the foresight to really pay attention to the surroundings, overhear some conversations, and perhaps alert the staff upstairs in the main floor of City Hall to let them know that perhaps they should be just staying where they are instead of moving around and going downstairs while the situation was quickly escalating. And specifically, Taylor, who is actually the one that is filming all of this right now, he is a very dedicated employee, but he had that initial thought to pay attention and keep an ear out and alert others, along with Todd and Mike, who also do the same. That actually created a situation where our staff upstairs were aware of potentially a dangerous situation downstairs and alerted the senior center. And our senior center director, who is here, Mo, I really would like to make sure that she has some of the spotlight right here, because not only does Mo have to think about her own employees that she manages, but also thinks about the seniors that were in our building, and then also those that utilize the facilities down there, such as the pickleball players. It's a little bit difficult when pickleball is going on and there's some energy that's running rampant, and then all of a sudden you have Mo, who is as jolly as can be, I would say, waving her arms, and I think she said she used her skills from when she was living in Alaska dealing with bears. To alert the pickleball players that there was an incident and they needed to evacuate. It caused a little bit of confusion with our pickleball players, who were right in the middle of a very intense game apparently, but Mo stood firm and said we needed to evacuate for safety reasons, and she was able to get 40-some people out very quickly and safely, while she then turned her attention to a client that needed to have access to the elevator that was right there in the middle of a situation next to the police department. So Mo had stayed with that client and communicated incredibly calmly and clearly of the situation, and because of that action, she was able to keep this client safe instead of basically escorting him into a live situation. So I think it's incredibly important to highlight that, because while we can train all day long for a situation like that, nothing really ever comes to actual action until you're right in the middle of it, and Mo stayed calm through this whole time. So Mo, if you don't mind, just kind of standing up so that we can just recognize you for a moment and your also, the payroll specialist for the city was the one that actually alerted Mo, who is downstairs, who I want to say doesn't get forgotten. However, seems sometimes to be the last to know, even though you are right there. So because Tim was able to help get that message over to Mo, she had a few more minutes that perhaps she may not have otherwise. And then lastly, I do want to highlight our police department and our fire department, but our fire department was listening over, I think, the radio and could hear things happening, and were able to take in and stage incident command pretty quickly and send over medical help in case there was a need for that. So I really appreciate that, because this, again, is one that we train for. However, when it comes down to it, that moment means everything. And we didn't even have to think in order to make that happen. So thank you. And then also our police department. Obviously, this is your home turf that this incident occurred on, and you'll speak more of it, but there was a lot of training and professionalism. And I truly believe that because of your actions, lives were saved. And I really think that speaks volumes of the training, but also of just the character that we have here within our city. And I know that, Ryan, you'll highlight some specific instances, but I know that there's three actually, our police chief and our two captains that don't tend to get some credits because they are really passing that on to their staff. But your actions and your quick thinking and professionalism kept everybody safe. So I really just want to take a moment to say thank you, and really made me, and I think the rest of our commission and our city, incredibly proud. So with that, I'm going to pass it off to you, Chief, for the show. Yes, please.
All right. Can I get Captain Kinnanen, Officer Brown, and Officer Zarni back up here for me? All right. One of our officers that I was going to speak to tonight is sick. He just ran into him on the way up here, and he wasn't able to make it tonight. So just for a quick little rundown, a lot of you are aware of what happened, but I'm going to give you a little bit more information. Last Monday, a subject entered our police department hallway with a loaded handgun, demanding to speak with an officer. While waiting, he confronted a citizen and officers with the gun. After a lengthy negotiation, an opportunity presented itself to try to end the threat. These 3 officers, 2 minus the one that's not here, were the first to engage and take control of the suspect. Officer Zarni was the first to make contact with and was able to disarm the suspect while taking him to the ground. Once on the ground, Officers Tackle and Brown assisted Officer Zarni in securing the suspect. No major injuries were sustained by either the suspect or the officers. I'm extremely proud of my entire staff, and I'm lucky to work with such professional and dedicated officers. They were able to bring this situation to a positive outcome. These officers' quick responses and heroic efforts to put themselves in harm's way to protect the rest of us is being recognized here tonight. Further efforts, I'm awarding Officer Zarni with the Meritorious Service Award. You want to step over here for me? Oh, wrong one, of course. Got a plaque with some of the details on it here. There you go. And then I've got the Meritorious Service Award. Thank you. We'll pin that later. And Officer Brown, come on up here. We've given you the Commendation Award. Again, let's get detail on the event a little bit here, along with a pin. And again, so I don't stab you, we'll add that later. Thank you to the fire department was right there with us the whole time. We had a lot of help from other agencies too, so I want to recognize them as well, and I appreciate it. If you guys can stand up, I'd like to give you a round of applause. Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you, City Manager. Thank you, City Manager and Chief Grimm. You know, on behalf of the commission, I just want to thank the staff and the police force and the fire department. You know, we're incredibly proud of you, and your bravery and your professionalism are much appreciated. Last week I talked to Chief Grimm about training and how you've all trained so hard for these kinds of situations, yet we hope they never happen. And the other thing is that you train with the other agencies in the county, and I think we're very fortunate in this county to have the cooperation that we do. I can't think of what could have happened. I don't want to think about what could happen, and I'm really pleased that it resulted in such a tenuous situation, resulted in something that was safe for everyone. Thank you very much. With that, let's move on to the consent agenda. Commissioners, I'm looking for a motion for the consent agenda. Commissioner Smith?
I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Other commissioners? Commissioner Larson?
I second that.
Comments? No? Okay, all in favor, say aye, yes.
Yes.
All opposed? Motion passes 7-0. So that brings us on to new business. City Clerk, we have the enterprise vehicle lease agreement. City Clerk, could I have the background, please?
Thank you, Mayor. The city's motor pool currently contains 89 light-duty vehicles varying from police cars to heavy-duty pickup trucks. These vehicles are used daily to maintain city services and are essential to keep the city functioning. On average, the city has replaced 3 to 4 vehicles per year, with most of those being police-related. At our current rate, it takes over 25 years to completely turn over this fleet. Keeping vehicles in operation for that length of time increases maintenance and fuel costs significantly. Motor pool staff were charged with finding ways to reduce costs and improve vehicle uptime and safety. Utilizing the Sourcewell purchasing program, staff requested that Enterprise Fleet Management review the city's fleet for a potential lease opportunity. After several months of discussions, Enterprise recommended a phased approach where the city would leverage an open-ended lease program. Under the program, the city would lease 73 vehicles phased in over a 5-year period. Most vehicles would be turned over every 2 years, except for police vehicles, which would be on a 3 to 4 year cycle. The cost for the first year to transition to the program is approximately $376,000 and will be offset by $221,000 generated from the proceeds from selling our current vehicles, as well as the savings that will be realized from decreased maintenance costs and better fuel economy. It is estimated that the city will save nearly $350,000 over the course of the first 5 years of the program. Fiscal effect: the motor vehicle fiscal year 2024 operating and capital outlay funds contain adequate funding for this year's lease. Future years will be budgeted accordingly based on the plan. Recommendation, approve the lease agreements with Enterprise FM Trust, authorize the city clerk and mayor to sign the agreements, and authorize the city manager or her designee to approve all motor vehicle lease documents. Alternatives as determined by the commission.
Commissioners, do I have a motion? Commissioner Ottaway?
I move to approve the lease agreements with Enterprise FM Trust, authorize the city clerk and mayor to sign the agreements, and authorize the city manager or her designee to approve all motor vehicle lease documents.
And may I have a second? Commissioner Smith?
Second.
Discussion?
Sure. You know, this is really the way of the world, I think. I work for a gigantic corporation. One time, years ago, we actually owned and maintained all of our vehicles nationwide. But as things have become more expensive, costs of maintenance has become more expensive, it has just started to make sense to allow a fleet company to really take this on the forefront. It really saves a lot of money over time when it comes to the maintenance side of things too, where there's just all those unexpected things which we hate to try to figure out in our budget, which this kind of solves a lot of those problems. So I'm adamantly for this.
Commissioner Smith?
I would agree with Commissioner Ottaway. I would just like to commend the motor pool staff for coming up with a solution. I'm sure there were a lot of different options when it comes to a fleet, and we found something that works for us. And I'm continually amazed by the way that we're able to rethink things that we've always done a certain way and try to innovate here in the city of Marquette. So I'm proud of the team. Thanks.
Anyone else? Okay, all in favor, say yes.
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 Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Thank you very much. And let's move on to the firefighters' labor agreement. City Clerk, may I have the background, please?
Thank you, Mayor. The City of Marquette has reached a new agreement with the Marquette Firefighters Association. The bargaining unit has ratified the agreement. The main issue during negotiations was rates of pay. The parties have agreed to a 2-year contract with a $1.50 per hour wage increase for each union position for year 1, effective today, and a 3% wage increase for year 2. The probationary firefighter rate has been eliminated to bring new firefighters in at the former 12-month rate and bring firefighters to their full rate by 1 year instead of at their 2-year anniversary. The city's bargaining team would like to thank the Marquette Firefighters Association for their willingness to work with us to negotiate an agreement that is fair to the employees and the city. Fiscal effect, the total cost for the first year increase to wages is roughly $111,000. This will require a budget amendment. Recommendation, approve the Marquette Firefighters Association labor agreement effective October 1st, 2023 through September 30th, 2025, and authorize the mayor and city clerk to sign the agreement. Alternatives as determined by the commission.
Commissioners, I'm looking for a motion. Commissioner Schlegel.
I'd like to make the motion to approve the Marquette Firefighters Association labor agreement effective October 1st, 2023 through September 30th, 2025, and authorize the mayor and city clerk to sign the agreement.
Is there a second? Commissioner Ottaway.
Second.
And discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to commend both sides for coming to this agreement. I know that there's always going to be certain issues that maybe both sides have to work and give a little on both sides. But I think the fact that firefighters have, in the last several years, have had many more demands brought to the table for them to be certifications and things along those lines. And I think that they're very much they very much deserve to have a contract like this that's going to allow them to have a better wage and appreciate the efforts on both sides.
Thank you. Commissioner Ottaway?
No, I mean, we got so many of them here tonight. I'll just say thank you. I mean, I know this wasn't an easy process as we've kind of seen our other labor agreements get ratified, and knowing what you guys went through with this, I certainly know that the city manager and the rest of the commission really appreciates your patience in working through this. You guys are so valued in this community, and you know, trying to continue to partner and come up with ways to improve your daily life is something that is important to all of us, and I just want you to know that. But outside of thank you, I have nothing else to say.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to call the question. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Oppose? Motion carries 7-0. Congratulations. Okay, and our last item on new business is the city manager and city attorney evaluation subcommittee. So, city clerk, may I have the background?
Thank you, Mayor. On August 14th, 2023, 3 commissioners were appointed to serve on a committee to review and compile the city managers and city attorneys' performance evaluations and to make a recommendation regarding future terms of employment and compensation. The 3 commissioners appointed at that time were Commissioners Hanley, Ottaway, and Smith. On September 25th, the commission approved the annual performance evaluations for both the city manager and city attorney and extended each of their contracts to September 30th, 2026. At the existing compensation level, with discussion related to revisiting compensation to be held at a later date. The subcommittee expressed an interest in annually appointing an evaluation committee for the duration of the calendar year for more continuous dialogue with the city manager and city attorney. Fiscal effects, none with this action. Recommendation, appoint 3 commissioners to serve on the city manager and city attorney evaluation subcommittee for calendar year 2024, with an immediate charge to review the city managers and city attorney's compensation and bring back a recommendation at the city commission's March 11th regular meeting, and continue serving on the subcommittee for the year, including conducting their evaluations in the fall. Alternatives as determined by the commission.
Thank you. Commissioners, I'm looking for a motion. Commissioner, or Pro Tem Hanley?
I move that we appoint 3 is it you that does it? Is that how it's written?
The mayor makes the
Okay.
appointments.
I move that the mayor appoints 3 commissioners to serve in the city manager and city attorney evaluation subcommittee for calendar year 2024 with an immediate charge to review the city managers and city attorney's compensation and bring back a recommendation to the city commission's March 11th regular meeting and to continue serving on the subcommittee for the year, including conducting their evaluations in the fall.
May I have a second? Commissioner Ottaway?
Second.
Discussion? Discussion?
Yeah, I'll just make it real quick. I was both Mayor Pro Tem and myself, as well as Commissioner Smith, were a part of this committee last year, and we did find it to be something that was kind of important to go on with this year-long discussion of how we kind of view the city manager and city attorney. I think it's extremely important for us to understand their jobs. It's extremely important for us to make sure that we're getting the feedback that they want to give us and vice versa. So that's kind of where the change comes about with all of this. Outside of that, no other comment.
Okay. Other comments? Okay. I'll call the question. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. I will be making these appointments in the next couple of days, and we will just move on with the agenda, which then brings us to the next public comment. So comments may not exceed 3 minutes per person. Please state your name and physical address when making public comments. Is there anyone for public comment?
Pete Windsor, President Local 643, Minnetonka resident, but work for the city. Just like to say thank you to the commission for approving that. This is going to help us out tremendously when it comes to getting rid of the probationary period. That's going to help out with our recruitment and retention a lot. Thank you for the city staff working with us and coming up with an agreement. Thank you.
Anyone else for public comment? Seeing none, public comment is now closed, and we'll move on to comments from the commission. I'm going to start with Commissioner Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. I guess I'm just really struck by the presentations that happened and the events that happened last week, and I am grateful that we've got such good public servants serving in the roles, and we've got good leadership in all departments and with our city manager to de-escalate that kind of a situation. So I guess in addition to feeling proud of the events, and I'm also proud of the way that we were able to recognize those folks and talk about it, in a way that we're not disclosing too many details, but that we're making sure to honor those that did exert some bravery. So I'm just taken aback by that, and I'll be thinking about that for days to come here. Thank you.
Commissioner Larson?
I too extend my thanks and gratitude to, Chief Grimm and his staff for the professionalism that they've handled and the recognizing of the officers tonight. I think it's an important thing to do to raise folks up when they do good things, in the city and help keep us safe. So I appreciate that. The other thing that I just wanted to say is that, I too was earlier this week was at along with the mayor. We were at the Marquette 2049 over at NMU. So which is a group that's trying to think about what Marquette's going to be looking like. Marquette County is going to be looking like in 2049 with, potential of climate change and changes in, a variety of things. What are those things that, we need to come together as an entire community to look at? And bringing it back to one of the points earlier in our discussion, with the enterprise agreement, having something like that allows the city manager to, make plans into the future. If, we are to change to electric vehicles or something along those lines, that does allow for some flexibility that we may not have had, otherwise. So I think, things like this are in the right steps of, the city marching forth. And, there's certainly more things that, our community is going to come together in discussions on and have, more thoughts on how we are better prepared for, what lies ahead of us. Thank you.
Commissioner Mayer.
Thank you, Your Honor. I too was able to join for the climate adaptation task force, and it was really kind of exciting to see so many different stakeholders, so many different backgrounds coming together on that subject. And I'm looking forward to, I believe we have 5 more of those we're doing. But I do want to take a moment and truly thank our police and fire and our city staff in general that dealt with the situation last week. And I kind of want to give a little kudos here to our city manager who I imagine rather quickly thought of letting the commission know what was going on so none of us kind of wandered into City Hall and no doubt made the situation worse. With that, I'm also really, really excited and glad that we are able to get our labor agreement done today. And hopefully, if FEMA cooperates, we'll have possibly a new fire truck for you too, but fingers crossed.
Commissioner Ottaway.
Sure, I'll echo everyone else's sentiment and say thank you. I've already texted Chief Grimm privately, but it goes without saying how professional everyone that was involved in this situation was. And it really is reflective of the leadership of the people that were involved, including our own police chief, all the other leaders of all the other enforcing agencies that were there as well. It's refreshing to know we have that type of bravery in the community, as well as that type of professionalism. I will say, almost immediately though, it sparked my interest in us as a commission and us as leaders here in this room needing to really start thinking about a plan to make this commission chambers a little bit safer. And I think that's something that is going to be a discussion down the line, and it needs to be, just because you never know. And secondly, I will say the city of Marquette lost a really important and great resident last week in a tragic motor vehicle accident, Tara Glusky, who was very, very much involved in our community. She was our chair of PIPAC for the city of Marquette. She was also huge with the 906 Adventure Team, Fresh Coast Film Festival. It's just a tragic loss. I wanted to make sure I mentioned her today. Outside of that, I have nothing else. Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Pro Tem Hanley.
Thank you. I'd be remiss if I also didn't say thank you to the staff and the professionalism. It struck me in the days following it with how easily that situation could have been different if there were different police officers behind it and different people handling that scenario. And I really respect the fact that you took the time to recognize the emergency for what it was, and you handled it so well, and there was a better outcome than necessarily could have been. So I would like to thank you all for that. Another thing I would like to touch on is something from our consent agenda today. We do have a rather large purchase grant application on there for the fire truck, and well, it is absolutely a necessary thing. I just wanted to point it out because it's a very big number, and if someone saw it, they might question a purchase of $1.8 million. We do need this truck. This is a fun way, or a cool way, to actually get part of it covered, which would be amazing if we can get this grant. And then we have the chances to look for other funding sources after the fact. But I do want to point out so that if there was questions, it was easily there. Thank you.
I'll just also mention that, oh, Commissioner Schlegel, did I forget you?
You know, I got a big mouth. I got something to
Would you
say.
like to speak?
Yeah, I can't be the only one to not say anything about that, the performance last Monday. Unfortunately, my niece out on the East Coast was involved in a somewhat similar instance like this. And when it touches your family, whether it's your direct family or your community family, the minute I heard about what was going on in here, I reached out and just said, please tell me you're safe to a number of people. Fortunately, we got the answers that they were all safe, and that shortly after that, the issue was dissolved. But to act the way that you did, and city manager, please don't forget to give yourself some credit. I'm sure that leading this this whole building basically is just really, I'm just really happy and impressed with how things came about. Commissioner Attaway, thank you for bringing up Tara. She was a friend of friends, let me just say, and she was always involved, always willing to give. Tragic loss. Please pray for her and her family, and that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, I will just go back to the climate adaptation 2049 that Northern hosted. I was, as we said, we have 3 commissioners that are there, and I'm really grateful that we have representation on that committee. It shows our commitment to future planning. I believe that our lease with the enterprise will allow for the integration of electric vehicles as we feel we are ready for them and our community is ready for them. So I don't really have a concern that we won't move forward because we've been very forward-thinking in terms of climate adaptation and energy conservation. Also, Craig Patterson, thank you for making the trip up here. It's good to see you again. I know there's been some concerns, and I think every one of us would love to see that project move forward as fast as possible. But we're working on it, and perhaps our city manager will address that in her concerns. And with that, I'll just turn it over to Karen Kovacs.
Sure, thank you. Just to speak of what Sally had just mentioned with the project. So we are incredibly excited about this project. It has many different parts to it that really will serve our community with some much needed housing. There are some concerns that we are working through, which unfortunately just takes time. I know that Suzanne, City Attorney Larson, and I have been working through that pretty diligently, and we're also learning quite a bit about HUD documents, which if you aren't familiar with any of the rules with HUD, if you're looking to fall asleep quickly, please read them. So there's a lot of words, a lot of pages, so we're working through that. But I really do appreciate, Craig, all the time that you have spent really working with us, and then also with the team at MISTA for going back and forth quite a bit today even, trying to get some answers here so that we can make sure that we're safely taking on some of the responsibility to see this project come forward, but then also making sure that we are not taking on too much, especially if we have such a separation between us and other entities. So thank you for your patience on that, and I hope I eased some minds here, but we will get answers as soon as we can over to you. Also, I like to take this opportunity to continue to brag about our employees. So as you saw, we are looking to apply for a grant for the replacement of a ladder truck, and I think it's really important to note that this ladder truck is still in service. It is, what did we say? It was a 1990, yeah, so if you can do the math, that truck is aging pretty quickly, and by the time that we can get it replaced, I don't want to say it's on its last leg, but it is going to be one that perhaps maybe it's better we get a new one. And we do have our motor pool, I think a guru here that used to work on the fire trucks, but now is the supervisor. I have Dwayne here, who has been really leading the conversation on the fire truck and working with the fire department on making sure we can get an adequate truck and keep the trucks that we do have working. But a lot of credit has to go out to Motor Pool as well for looking at some creative solutions and limping these things along safely, because the trucks are still very, very safe and usable, but we just need to be ready for a new one. And then I also want to take the opportunity to brag about some of our firefighters that were mentioned at the Police and Firefighters Ball over this past weekend. One is sitting in the audience. That's partially why I'm going to call him out here. But Kevin Sturkowski and I believe Brandon Corey were honored as a hero for the firefighters and police fund. And if you aren't familiar with this fund, I really do encourage you to take a look and learn about it. I'm not by any means educated in what this all does, but there's a lot that our local Marquette County police and firefighters get support from. And Kevin, who is sitting out here, does a lot for the fire department and has been gathering a lot of the activities to bring the public in to the fire stations and get to know them a little bit and really reach out to our community. So I really commend Kevin for your efforts on that, and a few others obviously too. And then Brandon Corey, who's not here, and he's a great asset to our department too, and is really working with education and training and things like that. So thank you. And with that, thanks to all my employees and all the employees out there. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Ditto. And this meeting is concluded at 6:40 p.m.